And I am going to very quickly bring in Shehzad Poonawala and ask some questions of him. Suhail Seth is there, and of course Sushant Sareen. I'm going to look at certain aspects of this with Sushant Sareen very closely. But Shehzad, your principal position as Jairam Ramesh releases 5 points critiques of what he believes the framework doesn't address adequately enough for India.
Let me address every point of the Nawabs of negativity, the purveyors of pessimism and champions of cynicism point on. First, he said that agricultural sector has been allowed to be, taken over by the United States. There's no entry for staple grains. There's no entry for major crops. There's no entry for dairy products. There's no entry for poultry products. There's no entry for veggies which are frozen, preserved, canned, dried. There's no entry for spices. There's no entry for substantial amount of fruits. On the other hand, Indian agricultural exports get a huge market to play with a high consuming market. So point number one, the lie has been busted. Second lie used to be that Indian economy is dead. We are getting this deal after completing 8 free trade agreements. Now we've got this on the table, and we are going to get 11 more free trade agreements. So clearly the Indian economy is not dead. Thirdly, the argument made was that there are several goods, while we are going to have 18% tariff, the Americans are going to have 0% tariff. But do you know what is happening? There are going to be 0 tariffs on generic pharma, gems, diamonds, aircraft, auto parts, auto parts, which India is going to export to United States. They're getting the exemption under Section 232 as well. So basically, Make in India products are now going to get a $30 trillion market access. And it is also going to be 0% tariff for a lot of our products, which are going to be exported to America. So that's another lie that has been busted. Now let's come to the more important point. Let me just give you some facts and figures because the audiences will understand better. Before this entire trade deal, textiles and manufactured made-ups in India was charged at 59% in America. Today it will be down to 18%. Our knitted apparel was 63.9% tariff, now it's 18%. Woven apparel 60%, now at 18%. Diamonds, gems, jewelries at 52%, now it's at 18%. Shrimp and seafood, just now somebody was mentioning about it, 33 to 40%, now at 18%. Do you think this will create more jobs or less jobs for Indians? And finally, because a lot is being said about all these factors were combined, taken together, that our strategic autonomy has been compromised, I'm sending you a very important tweet, Rahul. If you could just open your WhatsApp right now. And this tweet is from the United States Trade Representative. Now just open the the poster put out.
I put that tweet out a little while back. The
and
photo.
Let me just point out. Let me just point out what is being shown. They will say, what is so unusual about this? The unusual part is, and this is just my reading, don't take it as a party position, is that the full map of India, including Jammu Kashmir, has been shown entirely as part of India. As you would know, before this kind of representation, as far as I can remember, and there are experts here, they will say, not that we need anybody's endorsement on this, was never shown. I think that Samajhdar ko ishara hi kafi hai. We've not only maintained our trade autonomy, but we've maintained our strategic autonomy, and this is more than a trade deal. This is a partnership between two double engines of the world, global, strategic, and economic.
So while the map may not change on the ground, at least notionally, viewers, we've affirmed our territorial integrity. Well, of course, the BJP gets an added bragging point. Of course, that's not the substantive part of this conversation, viewers, but it is optics, and optics does play a part. And Sushant Sareen, I just want to bring you in on this because it's important to understand that there are certain sectors which India is sensitive about, specifically when it comes to energy. Now, the statement that has been released by the White House says very categorically that India has committed that it will not buy Russian oil. It doesn't say only from sanctioned entities. It just says blanketly won't buy. How do you read this? Is that a problem?
No, it isn't a problem because it doesn't say when we will stop buying Russian oil, how long that time frame is going to be. Who knows if maybe a week from now, a month from now, the Americans and the Russians get back together and Russian oil actually starts flowing in the market. So let us imagine a situation Russian oil actually is not sanctioned anymore. If India was not to buy Russian oil then, as we were not before February 2022, would you still say that India has lost strategic autonomy? Because we might actually find better deals elsewhere. We are buying Russian oil because we were getting a better deal. So I think let's hang on to that particular factor. Secondly, you have to weigh it against what is possible. Look, if you want a perfect deal of the sorts that Donald Trump probably wanted but did not get, now if you wanted a perfect deal, you have also not gotten a perfect deal. There has to be a give and take, right? You can't say I'm going to go into a shop and buy something, but I'll not pay you money. That's been our attitude for very long. It's maddening that we have our politicians and bureaucrats talking about the size and the attractiveness of the Indian market, and then we close the Indian market and don't let anybody come in and trade fairly. So if the Indian market is opening up, and listen, trust the Indian industrialist, trust the Indian businessman. They are very sharp, they are very smart, they will be able to compete. All that you need to do with the Indian businessman is to remove the stranglehold of the bureaucracy on it. This license Raj, you remove that, you give them a level playing field, the Indian businessman will do wonders in this country. We are masters at generating wealth. But if you are going to constrict the space for Indian business, then the Indian business will obviously not be able to compete. So I think on that point, this deal does bring in certain benefits to us which are not very visible. Third, I think, look, there are certain sensitive sectors in India, just as there are sensitive sectors in the US. I think what we've tried to do is, at least this is a framework agreement. Let us see when the final agreement comes out, because that will have all the, the detailing will be there. This is a broad brush kind of a, it puts more light and gives us more clarity to what Donald Trump tweeted the other day, and the response by the Prime Minister to Donald Trump's tweet. We have a lot more clarity now, but there are still many areas which are pending, because a lot of things, even in this framework agreement, are subject to us successfully negotiating the interim deal. And even that is going to be an interim deal. That's not going to be the final trade agreement that we are negotiating with the Americans. But the fact that we have got this, I think, brings sufficient relief, enormous relief, I would say, to large sectors of Indian economy which were reeling under the impact of having suddenly been shut out from their biggest market.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about textiles, I'm talking about gems and jewelry, I'm talking about a range of other sectors. And it's very glib for people to talk about we'll find other markets. Number one, please appreciate what the US market brings with it. It brings an enormous amount of scale, which you will not get if you are going to go to some individual countries around the world to trade.
Right.
Secondly, ask any businessman. The most difficult thing is to find a market. And once you have a market, to lose it is quite devastating. There is a lot of damage which has already been caused. It's good that we will try and reverse that damage now. But please spare a thought. All this breastbeating which is going on for the benefits of Russia, I think it is important that we think about the benefits of our textile workers and our industrial workers and our industrialists and businessmen who are also reeling under this impact.